Jeff Labovitz is mission chief of the International Organization for Migration in Thailand. We've reached him in Bangkok. So, Jeff, thousands of people stranded on these boats. Many of them are Rohingya Muslims. Can you tell us who exactly the Rohingya are?
In northern Rakhine state in Myanmar, there's a group of Muslims who the Burmese refer to as Bengalis, and they self-identify as Rohingyas. And they're a group of about 1.2 million. And in fact, yes, they've been on this journey going to Malaysia in the smuggling boat route for actually more than a decade. But in the last 2-3 years, it's just doubled every year. It's gotten to quite big numbers.
And the UN is warning of a humanitarian disaster. What are you hearing about conditions on board these boats?
My office has been working with people who are getting off these boats for several years now. And I can say that over 40% are malnourished, another 4% are severely malnourished, and 1.9% have something called beriberi, where they resemble human skeletons. I've seen images from the boats already, and in fact, my offices are helping people from the boats, and they're not good. I mean, they're very, very thin, they have not eaten, they're malnutrition, there's not enough water, and it's absolutely frightening.
And you know, I used the term floating coffins because we've heard of some of these boats. They've been intercepted, turned away, even towed away from the shores. Are these people being basically towed back out to sea and left to die?
There's been a lot of ping pong going on, that's for sure. They are moving on the sea. They are moving. They are captains and they have fuel and they're going in different directions. We've had landings in Indonesia, as you mentioned, in Aceh and also Sumatra. There were earlier landings in Malaysia, and 2 or 3 days ago, 106 landed in Thailand. But certainly the conditions of these people are dire. They are cramped in small spaces. They are beaten if they complain. There's women and children. They are sitting in feces. Water is contaminated. They're very, very ill. There was a boat which landed in Indonesia 2 days ago, and my understanding is that there were a lot of deaths beforehand because when the food ran out, different groups started fighting each other over the food. And so when you say human coffins, it's probably not an understatement. There's potentially going to be thousands of deaths if we do not have safe landings very soon.
So what exactly needs to happen to convince some of these countries to take these migrants in so that they don't die in these floating coffins?
We need to focus. We need to focus our message and say everything else aside, we need to save lives, and that's it. We need to have search and rescue missions. We need to have safe disembarkation. We need to have regional cooperation. But I'm also encouraging any other countries in the region to step forward with their maritime vessels. Any global countries which have maritime vessels in these seas should step forward. We have 6,000 to 8,000 right now on the seas estimated. It could be a bit higher even, to be honest with you, but it's not a massive number in the scheme of things. We were having 7,000 to 8,000 people departing per month on average for the last 6 or 8 months, and there's no more departures from Bangladesh or Rakhine.
Now, an advisor to Libya's government says that ISIS is smuggling extremists into Europe using the refugee boats in the Mediterranean that we have been seeing, and sometimes with awful consequences with people dying in the sea. Are there concerns that something similar could happen where you are?
You know, over the last several years, there are concerns because we have marginalized groups who haven't had a whole bunch of access to livelihoods, and I guess they could come under effect of different people. But the fact of the matter is that they're also stateless and they don't have documents, and it's almost impossible to travel. And so what we're seeing now is that people are leaving for protection needs, there's women and children, or they're leaving for economic needs. And on these boats are actually what we're seeing right now from the landings, which coincides with our other information from the last year, is that more than half are from Bangladesh, and those are economic migrants who are taking the risks of this brutal smuggling route to try to earn more money abroad.